Greetings and salutations, or as we usually say, hi, your mom and them. Welcome back once again to the Far Reaches podcast. You keep coming back. We keep showing up. I'm not sure which one of us is tougher or dumber, but we're going to find out someday. Welcome, kids. Once again, thank you for listening. We do have some updates this week. We will be also on the YouTube. So we're kind of going at you from both sides. So we are on YouTube at Far Reaches Podcast. Adding video to our podcast offering. So for good or bad, now you get to hear and see the magic as it happens. So get your arse over there to the YouTube and subscribe, and be sure to enable the alerts, as they say. It's that little bell down the corner, So when a new one of these comes out, we even have a bonus feature this past week. Earlier with Rawls and I, we did a little behind the scenes, some kind of or behind the music, if you will, about how this whole crazy thing started. Again, if you have questions, comments, concerns, we'll still have the regular podcast going out on all the major networks, such as Anchor and Google and Apple Podcasts. And if you have questions, comments, concerns, please get those to us at farreachespodcast@gmail.com, or contact Rawley or Richard or Mr. Joel or myself on any one of our major networks we also have. So as you notice, there's only three of us. Rawls had to poop tonight, so he won't be here, but we do have Mr. Joel live from New York / Pendleton, and Richard, the sun-kissed god, live from Lakeview, Oregon.
Master of lens flare.
Absolutely.
Watch out, JJ.
It's just
coming for you. I also plan on sabotaging this YouTube premiere by giving false information about the coronavirus and possibly talking about 5G.
Okay, well, I can tell 5G was listening into that as it sort of blurred your audio a bit. So, yeah, I think, we'll have some of our usual segments this week, including the intellectual moment of the week that may or may not include 5G. That will be determined. So, just real quick, if you missed our last episode, you're probably ahead of the game, but I also would like to encourage you to go back. If you haven't listened, do that again. It was with our special guest, Mr. Barry Qualley, author, lives up in Joseph, Oregon. Great stories from him and some of his cowboy times. Talked about his book that's coming out in a couple months, and also his previous one called Out of the West, which you can find on Kindle. We'll have him back in a couple months when the next edition comes out. But I wanted to remind everybody, if you haven't heard that yet, give that a listen and track down Barry's books. He was kind enough to put up with us and just added a lot of class, I think, to this random assortment. But we're going to go ahead and get her kicked off with our weekly updates that we do. And since Joel's just got that inquisitive look, almost like the floating head, now it's really turning into almost a Conan O'Brien episode. Joel's got, I can see the Pendleton Roundup in the background, sitting over there in section R, I believe, or close to it. From Joel, let's get your weekly update. How's things in your twisted world, my friend?
Pretty good. Not much to report. Still doing the same thing, but I'll be experiencing a little bit more freedom pretty soon as I make my way out of New York City. It's hard to admit that because everybody's pretty adamant that people stay in place, and if you violate even the smallest of the social norms now, you're going to get called out on Twitter.
Right. That's my biggest fear, is calling me out on Twitter. Yeah.
It'll ruin your life.
You're catching my sarcasm. I hope so. Yes.
People are, once I get to Pendleton, I'll be quarantining myself for the 14 days though, and not trying to go to the small rural town and bring the disease with me and overwhelm the hospital there. So I'm going to do my part. But getting there is a challenge, I suppose.
What's that, Richard?
I can come visit day 5.
That'd be perfect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Family should be open about then. Maybe the boat.
Semis.
Hopefully. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I think New York will be locked down here for at least another month. So get out of here and enjoy the outdoors.
Head west, young man. Head west. Yeah,
exactly.
And everybody has some designer face masks when you come home.
No, I'm going to get away from the face mask. Nobody's going to use face masks.
Yeah.
Except for Umatilla County, though. I read in the news today that on Monday they released their plan to open up on May 15th, and then the next day they had 8 new cases, and then the day after that they had 11 more.
Mm-hmm.
So it sounds like it's just starting to really get a little out of control.
Testing some more, maybe. I don't know. I think, not to go off on a rant, but I worry about the mask. I mean, your eyes are still exposed, and that's like 2 pools of attractant to anything floating around the world. So
yeah, dude, the mask doesn't do
no,
anything. It's ridiculous.
Thank you.
We don't want to get kicked off of YouTube for misinformation.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's
You gotta
true.
watch themselves.
Yeah, safety always. So yeah, well, that's cool. You're heading out pretty soon to the Oregon and hang out there for a while, and that'll be good.
Yep. Yeah, I got a pretty good situation with brothers that have either extra cars that I can use or extra apartment to live in by myself. So
You're
lucky in that regard.
You're flying?
Yeah. Flying to Seattle and then rented a car driving to Pendleton.
Outstanding. Get a little scenery on the way home. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you have to keep us surprised of your success of travel. Yeah. Was there a lot of open seats on the plane when you're picking your spot?
Yeah, there are. And I also bought first class tickets just to more segregate myself from the poor people in the back, you know?
Yeah.
The people that carry the disease gotta get away from it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, go on the plane last then, because they do all walk past you when you're sitting in first class. So I would wait till the very end and then board. You're going to give up a free drink or two, but it might be better off overall. Yeah.
Well, they don't serve drinks anymore on the planes. Yeah. Can you believe that?
No, I can't.
Got to bring your own.
Well, if that's the case, that's fine.
Other than that, from my end, I also finished my second song. So I've sent that off to the musician that's going to turn it into an actual song. I just wrote the lyrics.
You're just busting out the lyrics. Your second. Well, can you give us a sneak peek of what this one's about?
This one is, I set out to write a song that has to do with honky tonk. I wanted to say honky tonk in the song
and not get in trouble for it. Yeah.
Yeah, this is about being in New York and longing for the world of honky tonks.
One of the best honky tonks in the 70s and 80s was in New York. Everybody played it. I don't remember what the name of it was, but it was like Earl Haggard, Billy Bob Shaver, Jennings. Yeah, it was the place to play.
Was it Studio 54 Y'all? Is that it was sort of the annex, if you will? Yeah.
It was Paddock 53.
Paddock 53. It's right across the street. Yeah. Well, that'll be interesting. Certainly some semi-autobiographical there in your songwriting. So looking forward to that.
Yeah.
Very cool. Richard.
You just missed the new Fiona Apple album just dropped, so you missed your chance there.
Are they all out of copies?
No, getting a song in.
Oh,
yeah.
Get one on her album. I knew she had one out. People are saying good things about it.
First one I've downloaded, I bet, in 3 years. The entire album.
Oh, the whole thing.
Wow. Fiona Apple's getting you back into music?
Yeah.
That's funny. All right.
Anyways.
Hey, that's our Richard. Yeah.
Just Richard was not the target market for that.
The next one I'm waiting for is the Escape Club.
Who's that? Is that Taylor Swift's new one?
Wild Wild West. Living in the Wild Wild West.
NXS? That was NXS, wasn't it?
No, that was the Escape Club. The Australian thing.
Okay, well, now I got something else to
obscure
look
music.
up. Yeah, well, it's what sticks in your mind. Yeah. So, Richard, what's some of your weekly highlights? Bring us up to speed, will you?
I got a little bit I started the week with a meeting with Impact Investor Group and was a panelist with somebody from Impossible Burger and somebody from Beyond Food or Beyond Beef.
Oh,
We got off to a rip roaring start there. And
Might as well peak early, huh? Yeah.
really cool guy that's increasing plant density and using hydroponics and increasing nutrient density, and then some other random people. Oh,
Why'd you meet with them? What does that do?
I'm in this group, and the extended group has a ag thing because the people in the impact investing are very into agriculture, and I'm their token person that actually is on the
Not
ground.
actually on the ground ag person.
So beyond and impossible, they're probably learning more through you about how to actually like maybe make their, I don't know, you're a subject matter expert in an area that they want to replace and disrupt.
And I really rated in their parade by being part of the panel. So
do you don't charge them for that?
no.
No.
But I'm looking into doing speaking things, so I might eventually get paid for my advocating for ranching and different stuff. So we'll see. But I do a lot of pro bono.
I thought you lived on a ranch.
I do.
Yeah.
What? You have a neighbor, or is that just another one of your buildings?
He's in town right now.
Yeah, I live in town.
Oh,
in town.
I got cows like a mile and a half over there right now, so I actually feel like an actual rancher. I can just drive out and look at them within less than 2 minutes.
Oh. Throw rocks at them or something?
Yeah, normally it's a 45-minute trip, so.
Yeah. Those are town cows. Yeah.
So yeah, I started off that was a fascinating conversation, and just a real focus on, the other cool guy I talked to, and I've been working with these guys for a while on buying my grass-fed calves.
Yeah.
So the hang up we have with our grass-fed cattle is you have to keep them another year. So I needed to find some way to finance both my cow calf herd and the calves beyond the time when they're weaned. So there's this really cool company called Stewart, and the guy that runs it is Dan Miller, and he was on this call. And so we reconnected a couple of days later, and that's looking positive. And something really interesting for the state of Oregon. Now, if you live in the state of Oregon, you do not have to be vetted to be an investor. I forget what they call it, qualified. No, there's a word for it. So like, if you're investing in agriculture in the state of Oregon, you don't have to be a qualified investor to invest. So
sophisticated investor, probably, right? So
yeah.
you're talking about?
So it's just it's opened a lot more opportunity then, is what you're saying.
So Stewart has done almost $6 million worth of business in Oregon because of the way that they've allowed this, because it just makes it easier for them to do financing.
Mm-hmm.
So,
what kind of a return could you expect if you invested in it? Talking like 7%, 10%, 2%?
6 is reasonable, 7 or 8. I would go for 7 or 8. When I first started looking into crowd sharing, crowdsourcing money, they were wanting 21% off of what you raised. I can't believe you talked to me for 15 minutes before you told me that I hadn't wasted my time, because nobody in their right mind would go through that. Plus, you have to pay back to your investors. So you have to pay the platform, and you have to pay back to investors. So you're looking at being into a project of 30%, 36%. So
you started asking that up front then, huh?
Yeah, it's shortened a lot of conversations. I had a conversation. There's a good company out of Salt Lake called Crowd Engine that I talked to earlier on, and they were up there. They were at 21%, and they weren't interested in ag, and they came back to me this year, and they're back down to, they're taking 3.5% off of the raise. So that's at least that's something you can work with.
So they've talked to a lot of people, it sounds like, between last year and now, and realized that they were kind of out to lunch. At least
I think the Stewart one would be one I'm going to work with a little bit. So they're interested in doing it, and that all came out. I've been visiting with them, but this all came out of this panel, so that was great. And then got me all stoked up about geothermal and greenhouses in Lake County. So
that's been talked about for a long time, many different ways. Obviously, probably never completely got it all circled up as good as it could be, though.
Yeah, but it's chasing the biochar stuff, and I think I got an avenue with maybe get a real ag byproduct biochar facility here. It's considered high tech wages, so and they're thinking if we did get a plant established in the county, it'd be 47 jobs that paid over $20 an hour.
Oh, nice.
And they're
Like,
interested in bringing a plant. It's a kennel, the burner, to burn it. You have to, the way they do biochar, you have to burn it really slow, very hot for one long period of time to make it acceptable for agriculture use. So I got that on the pipeline, and then maybe I'm gonna start experimenting a little bit more.
oh, interesting. Yeah.
Plus, I'm trying to finance my calves, so and I'm teaching 7th and 8th grade English, so I got nothing going on.
7th and 8th grade English.
Yeah.
Wouldn't all of our prior English teachers be so proud and a bit worried,
Yes.
probably?
Anyways, my new comrade is Bobby Stinninger, so I'm here.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Wow.
She's been watching out, making sure I don't make any mistakes. She knows how I am.
That's outstanding. Yeah.
No, big shout out to Bobby. She is
That's awesome.
has her name on the football field and still the first one to work every day.
I was going to say, she's definitely a pillar of that educational facility. Yeah. That's I think Mr. Joel's coming back. It's like he's time traveling or something. That's funky monkey.
Took
There's
a
Mr.
trip into the kitchen to
Far out, man.
refill my wine glass, and I think I snuck up on my girlfriend out there on the couch and picked off a whole bunch of skin off of her feet. To make
nice.
a little pile. She was
Okay,
pretty
then.
embarrassed.
No, I mean, you didn't have to tell us. We didn't know, but
I had to embarrass her a little bit.
I have to add one more thing. I'm very
Okay.
excited that Rawley is not. Well, I'm sad that he's not here, but I'm also sort of happy that he's not, because it's going to make the word of the day so much more fun.
Very true. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Rawley's still pooping, so he's not going to be able to join us this week, but hopefully, he gets through that. So we miss him when he's gone. I told him we would tell the truth of why he couldn't be here, and it's because he has to poop. So just so everybody knows. Yeah. So if you see him next time and he's got some bite marks on his lip, that's what was going on. Yeah.
Legs are going to fall asleep.
What's that?
His legs are going to fall asleep.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, he's probably stuck on there. They've been swinging. Yeah. So I've had a great week. I've had some great interactions and breakthroughs with some great ag tech companies. Some good phone calls, some good Zooms, some good WebExes. Putting some stuff together in that realm, where sort of my definitely one of my passions is how ag and technology can come together, and I think both sides come out a bit farther ahead from my genomics days onward. So interesting conversations in that realm. And then just cooking a little bit more than normal. Been doing a lot of cooking at home. I've been missing Mexican food terribly, and so I've been making some arroz con pollo, and I smoked a nice pork loin early this morning for some lunchtime. So that's that makes it's about that long. So I'll have food for a week and a half off of that. And a nice.
You like eating that leftover?
Oh yeah. You can do so much with it. You can make a sandwich. You can shred it up. You can burritos. You can do whatever you want. Yeah. So and this like a nice traditional pork with some mashed potatoes and gravy and some peas or something like that. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Grind it overnight in a little salt, some pepper, some allspice, like you cook around with during Thanksgiving, and then about half a cup of Crown Royal. Put it in there for overnight, and then put a nice rub on it this morning. And much to my neighbor's dismay and pain, smoked it out in the front driveway this morning for a few hours and brought it in the house. So, and made a key lime pie. I didn't share. No, I give them all bacon about half the time I make bacon. So, and you can see them peeking over the fence. Smells like bacon over there. So, yeah. And then my favorite key lime pie had to had to bust in one of those too. So super easy to make. I always thought it was difficult to make key lime pie until I looked it up on YouTube, and I'm like, simple. So yeah.
Yeah, but now you have to pretend like it's hard for everybody.
I do. Yeah, I really, whoo, man, I tell you what, kids. Yeah. And so,
This is the next level bacon.
well, I do. I take it next level because the first time I made it, I didn't have graham crackers for the crust, so I just ground up some pecans and used that for the crust. And that's what I do every time now. It's pretty baller, just to say. Yeah. So
It's tough to cook for one, though. You have just too much food, too much leftover. I mean, you maybe want to
give
eat
it to
key lime
people.
pie once, right?
No, I love key lime pie. Like I'll have it for dessert, like every day this week for lunch or dinner. I'll have it for dessert at least once. Yeah.
Okay.
And then like I have an Airbnb guest, so he came home and he's like, "That pie looks really good," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'll give you a slice. Here you go, buddy." So, yeah, and then people I know that don't cook very much or not used to being home, I'll send them over a few pounds of pork loin or something, and yeah, I probably give away almost as much as I eat, but I obviously eat more than I give away. Just saying. So,
Why
yeah,
would somebody need a Airbnb in Lincoln, Nebraska?
Jesus, man, there's like more than 2 people here. Like, there's like a football game usually during the time of year.
Well, okay, that makes sense.
It's
Like
a huge
during
college
football
town, so
season.
like parents come to visit a lot. People come to town for football games or concerts. You have to realize it's like the second largest town in Nebraska. All so, yeah,
And it's much more exciting than Omaha. So.
yeah. And your brother has an Airbnb in Pendleton. What are you talking about? It's like 14,000 people. There's 275,000 people in Lincoln. Yeah, so
I prefer Airbnbs, especially if I'm going to be somewhere more than 2 or 3 days.
if you're gonna be there more than 2 days, yeah, you don't get like you don't make your gold points like you do at staying at the Hilton all the time. But yeah, if I would be, especially if I go to a meeting somewhere for like a week, hotels are usually outrageous, and you get a nice Airbnb. I prefer that. Yeah, I was in Australia, no, New Zealand for some meetings. 10 days I was there. Average hotel was $500 a night. I got an Airbnb condo, 2-bedroom condo for $140 a night. Yeah. So.
And no ice, you don't have to sleep next to the ice machine.
No, I mean, if the refrigerator's loud, but yeah, the elevator and all that crap. So yeah. Anyways, Joel, I freeze a lot of it. I use it for like an entire week when I cook it once. So it's pretty handy. Yeah. And just try stuff out. Maybe it sucks. Scraps gets most of it. So with that
I have one more thing.
What's our first segment?
Oh, well, Richard's he's got one more.
Because Rawley wasn't here.
Yes.
I got to give you an update on the country natural beef call this Wednesday.
Oh, yeah.
As far as the state of the beef market is completely horrifying. There's a Northwest Packer / commercial operation that has their own cattle that is not planning, and they're sizable.
Yeah.
Not planning to buy any more cattle until 2021.
Holy buckets. That's wow, because I've actually picked something about that for the intellectual moment of the week actually to discuss further too. So that ties in very well.
So there's people that I've known for 30 years that are deep into the feedlot and packing industry that I have never, that are usually no sweat. We've seen this, we can handle this, that actually a little bit nervous about the
Can you guys
situation.
explain what's going on? I keep seeing headlines and you're talking about it. Something about supply chain, but what's going on? Why are we going to have a shortage of beef?
That's
and
part of that's
how
a good
bad,
question.
And how bad is, you guys as experts on how the beef industry works, how bad is the shortage really going to be?
It's not so much the shortages, we're just getting to the how deep the corruption is with the cattle that are coming out of the other countries to the United States. And I went back to try and find the proof of this, but they were underproducing before COVID hit. Manipulated the market before COVID hit, but USDA is a really good partner to those guys and went back and covered that data up. So
are you saying we're exporting more than we're importing or something?
That we are decimating the domestic cattle industry right now. So yeah, the Brazilians. I just found out on LinkedIn that Nairobi
Mhm.
is not importing beef in the United States. Canada is not. I mean, they're a neighbor, they're a partner, so it's not a big deal. But we even in the grass fed, we can't compete with cattle that are shipped on barges from New Zealand and Australia to the United States. That's how much they undercut the market. So, like, I'll just name them because I'm pissed at them because we were trying to work with them and they keep trying to undercut us. But Butcher Box will
Mhm.
not bring their prices down low enough to buy. They can't get the prices low enough to buy American beef.
Yeah, because it's well known they don't. Well, it's not well known. It's well known to some people. They don't use U.S. beef in that.
But they pretend like they do. They
Yes.
use all Americans for marketing. So when we had a conversation with them, I said you might as well sell what you might as well buy and sell what you say you're buying and selling instead of selling one thing and then giving the customer something that they don't think they're getting.
Yeah. Which is not cool.
Yeah, Butcher Box. So hopefully, as we start, as more Americans get on this direct marketing kick, those consumers that were loyal to Butcher Box will start shifting over to domestic products and stop this BS of undercutting American producers and having the safety and protection of the American economy and federal system to protect your company from everything that's happening in the rest of the world. So I think if we provide the safety for you to operate a company and the backstop to do it, you damn sure should be buying stuff from the United States.
Or at least say when you're not, but acting like you are. I mean, truth in advertising to that degree. People want to know. People should demand to know where it's coming from. You should be proud to tell people you're buying U.S. beef sourced from U.S. Ranchers. That's
And then they had,
So, like, to be clear, they are saying that you're getting U.S. beef, but you're not.
they don't say specifically out loud, "This is U.S. beef," but they certainly frame it in a manner that that's what you think you're getting.
yeah.
So you got to get the CFPB involved with this.
Oh, they're the ones that sold us down the river.
The CFPB?
Yeah.
Are you talking about the Cattlemen's Association?
No, the
No.
Consumer Financial Protection Bureau.
Yeah, I don't know how.
There's a rule called UDAP, Unfair, Deceptive, Abusive Acts or Practices, and it applies more widely than just to the banking industry. The CFPB has authority over multiple industries.
We'll have to.
So if you're being misleading, if you're deceptively advertising, it's illegal.
It was a real sweetheart deal when they got rid of the country of origin labeling. So
I still think these direct marketing programs, I mean, on the grand scale, they're pretty small. They're going to keep growing, and they're going to set the pace. People are going to demand that, and that's where it's going to go.
I'm actually going to go down and talk to some guys in Texas that want to buy. I think I am. Anyways, it's looking that way. I'm going to go talk to some guys in Texas Panhandle that want to buy a packing plant and build a co-op. So.
Oh yeah.
I'm sort of stoked about that because I think that they're serious. I don't know if it's a reaction, but they seem.
No, I think it makes a lot of sense. I have another friend that's looking at a similar enterprise. Yeah, I think it's the way to go.
I said I don't know much. I told him I don't know much about packing, but I can sure help him build a good co-op. So, but the other. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I would have thought that the beef prices for U.S. beef was going up, and that would have been a good thing.
No, there's going to be carnage, and if we recover by this time next year, it'll be amazing.
Well, you think about part of it, Joel, too, is this is a demand, like overall demand. Like consumer demand's still high, but there's hardly any restaurants buying near what they used to. Same thing with dairy, same thing with onions. All these commodities that had like a pretty full channel, you've shut off 70 to 80% of what's usually running through that channel. Like there's nowhere for that to go.
Sure. But why don't, like we were texting the other day, maybe you just switch more to a model. I feel like there's going to be more and more people who are going to want to like stock up, sell directly to the consumer instead of going through like all these third parties to get it to the people. So people start buying in bulk.
Well, they start buying
there seems to be demand for that.
If they can, and bulk. Yeah.
Wouldn't that be more profitable for the cattle rancher? It's a
It's
small
a-
operation. I'm not talking about these big conglomerates, but because they need the process to work how it is. But if you could sell directly to the consumer, wouldn't that be better?
In our world, we see the economy, the reaction to a decision in the economy is like when you look at a widget. You can build a widget, you can design and build a widget and have it rolled out to market in under 3 months. When you try and turn a cattle ranch around, it's months. If you try and turn a cattle ranch around to change its marketing scheme that's a grass-fed cattle operation, you're looking at 36 months before you get that new product to where you need it to be so that you can build this new market. So
It's complex.
when you talk about it, like in case study business talk, people are framing it in the idea of taking something to the market in a relatively short time and then stacking it against an industry that operates in years and not months. So to make a turnaround is a very difficult thing. It's possible, but
It just adds to the complexity. It's not saying it's not impossible for sure. There's people right now that have calves on the ground that haven't sold them, don't know where they're going to market them for sure. And there's opportunity to get those in certain programs if they're meeting that program standard for sure. Or, some states are relaxing the rules around being able to buy directly from a farmer, not even going through those usual channels. Like I think Wyoming for sure.
God bless Wyoming.
Please, God bless Wyoming.
See,
Bless
it
Wyoming.
seems like it's too complex. I mean, because you got to look at it simplistically. Like my grocery store is out of beef, and I need beef. So I know Richard, he has cows. Richard, can you kill one of those cows and send me beef? Like there's nothing. It doesn't take 3 years to adjust to that. It's like immediate. Go out, walk out in your field, shoot it, pack it up in ice cubes.
It has to hang for a while. I mean, like the life cycle is part of the problem. From when it's just bred to the calf gets on the ground till it's ready to be harvested, if you will. There's the time that the animal must cure and hang between when it gets harvested and it's ready to go to the store. But I foresee maybe there's a Amazon type website where people are putting their needs out and people who have it are getting it to them faster.
There
you go. That's a good idea.
I have
we'll call it farreaches.com. And
patent pending. Yeah. So
I have
makes
30
perfect
years
sense.
experimenting with running in different ways. I just ran them through the scale.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the cattle that I have my hands on close enough that would be able to fill what you're talking about, and they need to weigh 1,200 pounds to hang a good carcass, and they are coming on a year old right now, 520, and that's what I have at my disposal that I could liquidate right now, and they're worth virtually nothing for me. So they won't be ready because we made grass fed. They won't be ready till this time next year.
So but you're grass fed and finished, so that's a little bit different than a conventional per se.
If I stuck them and started pouring the grain to them and everything, I could probably have them ready in 6 more months if I really wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which if there's a high demand and you're selling direct, you're getting a good price.
Yeah.
So it goes down to your philosophy about how you raise your cattle and why. That could be conflicting in that regard. Joel, I think we're onto something there with the sort of the clearinghouse demand board for fresh beef.
Yeah.
Why not hub it up instead of? I like everybody going kind of this way, but if you can hub it up, that makes sense too.
And I think
you just host it, So
well, and like in our case with the grass fed, if we hubbed it with other grass fed things, we're not going to run out of beef as fast as an independent guy. So, I mean, if we teamed with different regions and stuff, we could fill it places when they run out, because a lot of them already ran out of beef that they had ready, or are already way ahead of where they should to have a good carcass. And then the other interesting thing about the packing market right now is the marginal reaction of the corona benefits and what has happened in the packing plants. The media is playing it like everybody's getting sick, but that's not the case. I mean, there are sicknesses that's causing a slowdown. what's really caused the slowdown is they laid everybody off and brought them back. And a lot of them didn't come back because they're making $650 a week, and they don't want to come back to their packing house job where they're making 500 and some money and working their ass off for 8 hours to 12 hours a day. So they're just milking the Corona benefits until it's gone, and that's one of the reasons why the Packers have had to slow down. I mean, some of them are actively trying to hire more people to keep the lines going.
Yeah.
So
as in most things, there's about 10 things playing all together, but a lot of them aren't helping.
But nothing like what Johnny Five had to deal with when the Russians came to get him.
Oh, and for segue of the week, Richard gets the star. Yeah. Man. That's right. As requested a couple of weeks ago, we're talking about the 1986 cult classic. I don't know what defines that, but I like to say it that way. Short Circuit. Requested by our one and only Mr. Joel. Joel, why don't you lead some of the discussion on this? What made you pick Short Circuit?
Gosh, I'm, when I think about my childhood, there's two movies that I just watched on repeat, and they were Better Off Dead and Short Circuit. And then Short Circuit, as I grew up, I kept watching it, and it didn't ever lose anything. It's still a hilarious movie. Like one of the most quotable movies ever, with Ben, who is played by, it's kind of funny that the Ben guy.
Oh yeah, Fisher Stevens.
Yeah, he's a white guy in real life.
Oh yeah. Even in the movie, like, where are you from? He's like, no, what do you say, like Detroit or something like that? He's like, no, where are your parents from? Like,
Pittsburgh.
Pittsburgh, yeah. It's like completely, like, then why? Why is he talking like that? Yeah. Ben Jabutia or something like that's his last name, I think, in the movie.
I like the line is like, I am standing here beside myself.
Yeah. Well, she's 100 pounds for you. Yeah. That's the funny part I liked is, for those of you who were not around when this movie first came out or have not seen it yet, it's a robot that gets loose from a research facility, has an accident, and comes to life. Johnny Five alive.
It's a real coming of age story.
Ooh, yes, it really is. And yeah, you're right. Was it Captain Mauser from Police Academy 2? I think was the schmucky guy, security head, Fred.
Howard, I think.
Yeah. Is that his name?
Well, and Steve Gutenberg was Mahoney.
Yes, exactly. So there's
it was like they just went from one police academy.
Like, we're not gonna, you got you guys already here, so yeah, let's make it happen.
And importantly, the Short Circuit was filmed in Astoria, Oregon, for a lot of it.
Correct. Yes, you are correct, sir.
The golden age of Oregon-based cinema.
Goonies,
Kindergarten Cop.
Get down. Yeah.
There was a scene in Short Circuit that I was laughing at because they live in Astoria. And then one day for lunch, Ben and what's his name? What is Gutenberg's name in it?
Newton Crosby.
They're having lunch and they're at that lookout point by on that Corbett in Corbett.
Yeah. Clear down the river. Like
it's like a 2.5, 3 hour drive.
Okay. That struck me when I watched it. I was like, wait a minute, that's not like that's the river behind them. Yeah.
What are you doing in Corbett? You live in
like 3 hours away.
Government workers, right?
3 hours away. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Just a little power lunch. Yeah. Oh yeah. So of course, Ali Sheedy finds Johnny Five when he's out wandering the streets, or he finds her, I guess, doesn't he? Yeah.
Well, he's running away and he jumps out, falls off the bridge.
Yeah, parachutes though.
He happens to land on top of her food truck.
Perfectly 5-point landing.
And she thinks he's an alien.
I mean, that's a natural jump, I think.
I don't know. It's clearly not a living thing. It's a robot. Like it has electronics.
See the schmuck she dates in the movie? She doesn't make good choices as it is. I think that was good enough for her. Yeah. What's that, Richard?
She's an animal.
1980. Did you catch what the mobile food thing was called?
Stephanie Sweet's shack or something like that.
Sugar Shack.
Sugar Shack. Oh,
They have one in Lakeview.
a little L Town. I wonder if there's a connection. Yeah, there's a
Okay.
Sugar Shack in L Town where Richard.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Sorry, or Lakeview. Sorry, I apologize. Slang is L Town. So.
But Ali Sheedy, though, she was a knockout. I didn't realize that when I was a little kid. I thought I was just rewatching it. She's gorgeous.
I think you knew it. You just didn't know that you knew it.
I did, yeah. Maybe that's
so.
why I liked it the whole time. I didn't realize why.
Could be. Yeah, I liked her a little bit more in Breakfast Club myself. That's just me. But
Was she the crazy girl in Breakfast Club?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh.
But yeah, so chaos ensues when they come to find Johnny Five. Of course, the evil security guy doesn't believe anything about Johnny Five, just has to destroy him because he is running around with a laser on his shoulder, willy-nilly, so to speak, and learns to drive faster than I did, which is pretty cool. Driving the sweet truck around. Yeah. I did notice that Johnny Five was plugged into a generator at the beginning and the lightning hit the power line, yet somehow Johnny Five got the crap shocked out of him. I don't understand why that was. Like, he's on a generator. It's off the grid, power line. But, oh, well. Yeah, so if that's the first thing I find hard to believe, then we've got problems already.
I mean, if you got struck by lightning, it would affect you.
Yeah, but it hit the power line, not like on the highway. And then, but he's on a generator. It's like a standalone charging generator, as I interpreted it. Yeah, power line gets struck and Johnny Five gets light up. So,
you got to plug the generator into the outlet, right?
No, it's actually generating. That's the term, generator. Yeah, so it's like maybe they had it hooked up backwards and it was pumping power back into the system, and that's what caused the connection between the two. So I don't mean to, pop your balloon.
Okay, so you think that short circuit is unrealistic, is what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that at all. No, I'm just saying.
I think it was ahead of its time with artificial intelligence.
Actually,
and learning.
for the quality of the special effects, the way Johnny Five moved around, even if he's just a Lego piece, I think they did pretty good in that. Like when he's driving the van thing, it looks like he's driving the van, and I'm like, how's he running the gas pedals? He's got like these freaking tracks on his bottom. Like, does he have like an R2D2 thing that pops out? I don't know, but he's driving away. I'm like, wait a minute. So, anyways.
I got a kick out. I love 80s movies. There's a couple of things I observed. The plot.
Yeah.
Very much what but I mean, like, it's one that they used throughout the 80s. Like, it could have been Rocky, the one where he fights Dolph Lundgren. I mean,
oh, yeah.
It's like they just had a template. They're like, all right,
insert hero, bad guy, montage. Yeah. Was there a training montage in Short Circuit? Because that's critical to good 80s movies, a montage.
You gotta have a montage or a monkey, as Joey would say.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
You know what they oh, go ahead, sorry. You're not done. You had two thoughts.
Yeah. And then my other one was I think he looks surprisingly, in some aspects, very much like the Boston Dynamic robots.
And those would be...
yeah, those are the ones that fight people.
Yeah, so right? I thought like, they're quadrupeds, but like the cylinders and the different way that they are mobile, his upper torso is very reminiscent of what robots actually turned out to be. And I thought the ocular stuff was pretty interesting.
That was cool, yeah.
Yeah.
It was. I did find it entertaining at the beginning when they were doing the demonstration. They're quick drawn and knocking shit off from 50 yards, but when they're chasing Johnny Five, they can't hit their butt with both hands. And I got to thinking, like, do they really want to shoot Johnny Five, or are they missing on purpose? That's what I was thinking. Because then he rewired them all like the Three Stooges, which I really enjoyed that part. That was
that's another 80s theme.
Yeah. That was
well. He was in the middle of getting more input, and when she left him alone, he was watching Three Stooges all night. So it became part of his curriculum.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think?
Another 80s thing.
Mama was a snowblower. Yeah.
He had to watch TV.
Hey, laser lips. I remember my brothers laughing at that joke a lot when I was little, and I just didn't get it.
The laser lips, your mama was a snowblower? Like,
Yeah, they thought that was funny. I was like, what? That's not a very good insult. That's how young I was when I was watching it. Must have
I'm
been
laughing harder picturing your brothers laughing at that, actually. That's the visual.
Yeah, Brian's favorite part of that movie, I think I remember his favorite part was when he's reading the sign that says, "Would you like to be a pepper too?"
Oh, yeah.
And I remember Brian just always laughing at that. I'm like, yeah, it's not that funny.
My favorite part of the movie was Ali Sheehy.
Yours?
What?
Oh, or you thought Joel's was?
Ali
Yeah.
Sheehy.
Yeah, there's that. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. You go ahead. I've been monopolizing.
No, I was just gonna say that not the funniest scene, but it was an interesting scene when Johnny Five arrives to Stephanie's house and walks in on her in the bathtub,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have a whole night together. And I think it is. Jess and I were talking about this. It's strongly implied that they slept together because he's like waking up, making her breakfast, and singing and happy.
She's out.
Wow.
It has all the tropes of Stephanie banged the robot.
I didn't go there. Maybe I'm just too pure of mind, but I gotta be honest, that never crossed the old cranium. But when you say it out loud, I guess, he was making pancakes in the next morning, and pretty happy. So
Yeah, and he saw her in the bathtub with no clothes on, and he was like, "Ooh, Stephanie."
mm-hmm. So maybe it wasn't all input. There was some output.
She's like,
Johnny Five.
Stop looking at me like that.
I think you're desecrating the Pendleton Roundup right now.
Yeah, to remove your background. I don't need to see what's really behind you, though. So, yeah.
So my other observation is, and I think this is indicative of 80s movies, and that's probably why we hang on to them so much. They don't labor over the details very much. He was shot by lightning within 72 hours. He was fully.
Don't worry about it. Yeah.
So now we can't take a character from inert to fully sentient without talking about, did it pass the Turing test? And then by that time you're 2/3 way through the movie, and you gotta. So in the 80s, they just got rid of all that stuff and just went right into the heart of it.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, don't worry about it. Yeah.
They'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's like I saw something on YouTube. I was doing some background research after I'd paid the $9.99 to watch the cinematic masterpiece.
Oh, it was on Crackle for free.
Oh, really?
The one place I didn't look. Damn it, Janet. Anyways, they actually talked about the beginning, like all the different thoughts they had of how he came to life, and they were sort of against the clock and like, screw it, he gets shocked. Who cares? Move on, and that's.
Was it Half in the Bag? Were you listening to Half in the Bag?
No, I don't think I wasn't. I should have, but I didn't. Yeah, I was just.
Like something they'd say. Screw it, move on.
It's just like, because there was like an alien actually thought about aliens at once, or aliens found him or did something. I think there's several other ones they talked about, and they're like, it's just too complex. Screw it, just electrocute him, makes him go crazy, he comes to life, and we're moving on. Who cares? Yeah, so it's really funny.
That's what I was thinking about the police academy, because in the writing they're like, okay, we need a riot. How are we going to start the riot? I don't know. I'm throw an apple over his shoulder and hit somebody in the head. Let's move on.
Like I said, like the reason, like Mahoney, would Mahoney really get arrested for taking that car, putting it on two wheels and wedging it in there? I think he just would have ran away, or something. Like, I doubt he would have been arrested that day if he was. And then thank God his dad had connections at the police, station, so he could know the captain and then work up this crazy scheme. So.
Yeah, it worked out well.
If I remember correctly, the whole purpose of the riot is so the black lady speaks, right?
Basically, yeah. Don't move, dirtbag. Yeah. That's a huge part. That was a cheer rang out across the crowd.
Oh yeah.
When that happened, and that was, I think there was T-shirts, there was "Be a Pepper" or "I'm a Pepper" T-shirts, and I think there was "Don't Move, Dirtbag" T-shirts too, if I recall. It was.
That's when they really knew how to market.
Again, though, Mahoney was a parking lot attendant and we're supposed to believe that he's a ladies' man. It just doesn't add up. He has a terrible job.
A lot more drugs.
He was any good at being a ladies' man. I mean, yeah, he got Kim Cattrall, but George Martin, that was the ladies' man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Mahoney was just kind of that guy. So
remember when the guy that made the noises was enough of a draw to make a movie around?
Yeah. I'm surprised he wasn't in Short Circuit. It really was. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And I'm surprised. Well, I'm sure that Police Academy by 9 or 10 got into it, but no midgets.
Oh,
That's true.
By 9 or 10. Yeah, I lost track of how many Police Academies there were, but yeah, by 9 or 10. And right after that, they just kind of blurred right over into Reno 911.
I think there was a monkey by movie 4.
Had to be. I think probably Tackleberry owned a monkey. Yeah. So
Dad was still alive.
anyways, back to Johnny. Yeah. So, it's so confusing with so many people crossed over in both. They had very similar, cast, if you will. So it was overall, though, I had some good memories about it because I used to watch it when I was younger too. And everybody always said number 5 alive or need input. That was classic, and so I didn't pick it apart too bad at all. I thought it's still entertaining.
It held.
Yeah, it held. Yeah, it's like the first time I watched Dukes of Hazzard's TV show after I wasn't like 12 really didn't hold up. Short Circuit held up pretty well.
I always thought the update was brilliant, though. I don't know why it never caught on.
The what?
The updated Dukes of Hazzard that the Broken Lizard guys did.
Oh, the movie was phenomenal. Yeah, I think that was outstanding. They did that perfectly. Yeah. Oh. Mr. Joel, anything else you want to take us down memory lane on Johnny 5?
No, not really.
Okay. And Richard, next time if you find a movie on Crackle, share that with the group, will you?
Yeah, because now we own this movie.
How I ended up watching Short Circuit because it was the height of multitasking at 4:00 in the morning. But I watched it.
Were you just getting up or were you going to bed?
I had got up. I did some a little bit of teacher stuff, and then tuned into the Country Natural Beef meeting and watched it, and on Zoom and watched Short Circuit on the TV.
So they thought that you were distracted, and they would be correct. Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's outstanding. Well, I think I get to pick the next movie since Rawley's still pooping. He doesn't get to pick.
Yeah.
And I'm kind
Rawley
of
picked that first cowboy movie. That was Rawley.
Oh yeah, Rawls picked that one, didn't he? Yeah. So it is. Yeah.
What was the first cowboy movie?
The Cowboy Way or something?
No. Richard picked that, didn't you? My Name's Nobody.
Yeah, I picked the first one.
Yeah. Richard picked
Rawley
Nobody.
picked Police Academy.
Yeah, he did.
Correct. Yeah. So Richard had My Name's Nobody. Rawley did Police Academy. Mr. Joel did Short Circuit. I'm torn between a couple, 3, but
You don't say Das Boot.
I'm not going to say Das Boot. No.
I don't have the time for that. I don't have 6 hours in my week.
I'm not going to say Das Boot. I think I'm going to go with Blazing Saddles. Yeah.
Boy,
Back to the Westerns.
Dancing around that one.
What's that?
We're gonna have to do some tap dancing around that one.
Well, that's why I was so torn because no, I'm going to change it, and this is for the good of the group. I'm going to change it to The Quiet Man.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Never heard of that. All right. Is that an 80s movie?
Oh, the first one we watched was McClintock.
No, we didn't watch it really.
Oh,
We kind of did, yeah. Mr. Joel, that's one of the essential John Wayne movies I told you about. What's The Quiet Man?
Oh, it's a John Wayne film.
It's a John Wayne movie.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I gave you the
Maureen O'Hara in it.
Maureen O'Hara. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Here's a good stick to beat the nice lazy with. Yeah. It's quite entertaining. There's no gay bull slapping, just for you, Joel. So,
Should we recount the White House story about watching The Quiet Man?
which White House story about watching The Quiet Man?
when we had boxing gloves.
Oh, yeah. Was that during that? Is that what
Yeah.
inspired that? Oh. Let's just tease that, as they say, because, yeah. We're going to tease that for the next time. Yeah. Now, we actually, I think the first time I watched The Quiet Man, to my recollection anyways, was junior year in high school. I'm for sure I'd seen parts of it before, but like remember physically watching. And that's because the Falconator, our teacher, we were studying about dowries and such in English class. And that's a focal point, some undertones of The Quiet Man. It's her dowry.
Yes.
And so how important that was. And so that's, I think we did it just so we could justify watching The Quiet Man in school. I think it was probably, as I look back, bless her heart, the ultimate.
You just
design.
did it so you have to deal with you for 2 hours.
That would be the major part of it also, yes. Especially us a-holes in the back row, yes. Think about that, Richard. Yeah, you could do, we used to watch The Rare Breed. We tried to sneak that into animal science class whenever we could in college. About the Hereford's.
I'm super excited about what I am doing, The Outsiders. And my son.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So I've been doing video clips with that, but I got to do Hound of Baskerville in 9th grade.
Ooh, harumph.
I love Sherlock Holmes, so there could be a lot of me geeking out to 9th graders about Sherlock Holmes. We're going to talk about the dynamic between Sherlock and Watson. And is Watson really dumb as he appears? And if he was, would Sherlock really like him?
Exactly. So you're going to have the kids read the book and then watch the movie when everybody does a character, or just jump in?
No, so I do it because it's all online right now. I do video clips, I do audio version, and I have the traditional reading. And then, so like I did Cowboy Poetry last week and did Sonny Hancock. Because
nice.
I couldn't find any video of Sonny, but I could find a lot of people that had done his poems on YouTube. So there's probably 15 Sonny Hancock Cowboy Poetry recitings on YouTube, so that was really cool. So, but I'm really excited because the new Sherlock is pretty cool. So I'm gonna intermittently drop that into the class so that they can, especially the Hound of Baskerville episode is like way out there. So I think it'll be cool and bring Sherlock into, because I remember I was in my 30s before I went through the canon of Sherlock Holmes.
Oh yeah.
I loved how much weight it still holds weight. It's amazing stories and just brilliant writing. It'll never probably get outdated, but
no, I agree.
8th, 9th graders, if you could show Benedict Cumberbatch, Bilbo. Yeah, I think it just makes it more relevant.
That's a great series. They do a phenomenal job.
Did you see the Dracula series that the same guys did?
No.
Holy intensity. Jeez.
Holy intensity. Yeah. That's awesome. Okay, we're going to shift gears now to our Far Reaches intellectual moment of the week. It's usually more than a moment, but it's for those of that want some more hard-hitting news and action. And since I read the Wall Street Journal almost every morning and then try to do the crossword, I picked out this article, and it inadvertently tied in well with some of Richard's previous comments, and we'll talk about this briefly, but the title is, and this is the business section, meat companies want to reopen, but officials fear new wave of coronavirus infections. And this was from today, April 30th, updated at 11:55 by Jacob Bungie, Jesse Newman, and Kirk Maltese. So just to read you a little bit of the beginning here, and then we'll discuss. President Trump's executive order allowing meatpacking plants to continue operating through the coronavirus pandemic is stirring concerns among local officials, wary of new spikes in infection rates if closed plants, boy, it reads like a dream, if closed plants rush to reopen. So some interesting thoughts about, how it's affecting local communities perhaps, and the concerns it certainly has on the workforce and, more importantly, our food system. Do we need to read any more? You guys kind of got the gist.
I get the gist. The workers are concerned. They don't want to go to work because it's dangerous. They don't want to get coronavirus. They want to go home and make the $600 plus normal unemployment. Stay safe, understandable. But these are the same. I don't want to paint a broad stroke. Is that the right term?
Mm-hmm.
But aren't these the same people generally who are out there like protesting the streets? People, you work in a meatpacking plant, you're probably a Republican, right? Not a lot of Obama supporters in there.
Meatpacking plants have you been to?
Yeah, I would. I think you're just a tad bit off.
You're a
Yeah.
non-voter.
Am I? How? Explain to me.
It's mostly imported workers. I'll put it that way. Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
No. Okay. I'm
Working in a packing plant is some tough job. It's got
all right. Let's get some of these people from these protests and throw them in the packing plant.
Which protests are you talking about?
They're happening all over the country. The people are opening it up. Those people.
Oh, those people. Yeah, I'm with them.
Did you see the one that went down in Texas with the hairdresser lady in Frisco, Texas?
No.
It was epic. It's still unfolding. I have to go check on it tonight.
It's in Frisco. Nice.
Yes, she said that she declared that she was opening her shop, and she went and opened her shop, and they started cutting hair, and people lined up to get their hair cut. And the cops came, and they told her to stop, and she said, "Go away." They came back again, and she told them to F off.
Mm-hmm.
And then they came back again and fined her $1,000, which she probably tore up the next day.
Nice.
The fine.
Yeah.
And then she got a cease and desist order from the local officials. I don't know who it was, a judge or something. And she tore that up. And the next day she went to work, and she had about 40 armed Texans making sure that everybody could get their hair cut.
I completely agree. Yes.
Nice.
Like if I had a business, it might sound like I'm talking out of my ass, but if I had a business, it would be open because it's mine and it's essential to me and my family and my customers. And how dare you ever say that my business is not essential? You can pound sand till the sun goes down. I do not care. And go ahead and arrest me or fine me or jail me or whatever you think you have to do. But I'm hoping those 40 armed Texans come in and hold my door open too, because that's absolute bullshit. No way around it. And Joel, say what you wish, but I love those people out marching in the streets saying, take this shit and take it home, because it doesn't mean a damn thing.
I think that's a fair point to have. And who knows? I guess the hospital workers in New York City have a point. Like, they want you to stay home because they're overwhelmed. I think they're less overwhelmed now.
Yeah.
But if you have a business, open it up, sort out the fines and the penalties later. Those aren't going to stand up to scrutiny.
No way.
And yeah, for sure, do that. No, I'm okay with that.
I mean, if people want to, if you're sick, stay home. If you're not comfortable, stay home. That's fine. But everything I've seen numbers wise, this stuff is the flu or maybe not as bad. It might spread a little bit quicker, but as far as sickness rates and people recovering, from what I've seen, I'm not that worried at all.
Well, if the rationale is you need to stay home, we don't want to overwhelm the hospitals, as a business owner, you're like, that's not my fucking concern. Build more hospitals. Like, you should have had more. You should have thought of this before.
We had emergency stations set up for it. Didn't seem to be used a lot. People stayed home. Yeah. It didn't get the quote unquote wave or the crash or whatever. I don't know if we would have had it anyways. I really don't. People can cuss me if they want, but I think we saw the numbers. They weren't correct. We estimated based on those, and we way overreacted. Every time the numbers come out, it's way more people have already been exposed to it or had it, and way less people have died because of it. Now, they might have been people that died for sure, but they probably already had emphysema or cancer or something else a lot of the times. So really the numbers I'm seeing, it looks like it's about like the seasonal flu, maybe a touch bit worse. So I think
you got to think about the seasonal flu. There's been some more, I read some things, there's been some more information about, like, I think they greatly overstate how many people die of the flu every year.
Mm-hmm.
And they're saying like 60,000 people die of the flu. Mm-hmm. I've never heard of anybody that I know. I guess there's random people sometimes in Oregon. They're like, oh, a kid died of the flu. But Nobody dies of the flu. Very few people do. It's not 60,000. It's like 3,000.
They die of the flu, but they have other health complications.
Exactly. That's the point. It's just like this. They die of the flu, but it's because they already had a compromised system or they're sick of something else already.
No,
I've heard the
not.
60,000
you're
numbers
wrong.
from the flu for several years before this crap. It's like when you talk about it all the time.
That is a CDC extrapolating from some unknown data source to arrive at the number of 60,000. They don't know. Out of the people that test positive for the flu every year that have died, it's like 3,000 or 4,000 a year.
Well, nobody tests positive for the flu. Like how many? I've never
for the flu.
tested positive for the flu. I'm sorry, ever in my entire life. Have I ever gone to the doctor and he's like, "We ran the test. You have the flu." Never. They say, hey, you might have the flu. Stay home and drink plenty of fluids and get some rest. Maybe a cold. Like I've never had that diagnosis. Ever.
Yeah, the flu doesn't kill that 60,000 people a year. That's ridiculous. But this
out of 350 million, it probably was 350 million people. 60,000? That's not that many people. There's 60,000 people within 2 blocks of your house.
That's wiping out a town of like the size of Corvallis out of America. That's a lot of people.
Hey, it's bigger, but 350 million people roughly in the United States. 60,000 die of the flu.
Yeah, but if you wipe out Corvallis, you're going to have some economic hardship.
No, but it's not Corvallis. It's scattered across the entire country most of the time. You wouldn't even notice it. Like it's a blip.
That's a good point. You defeated me.
I'm not saying I'm going to defeat you. I'm just saying we've overreacted to this. And so I'm all for people coming back outside and saying, screw this. This is not right. We want to go to work. If you want to open your store, I do. I go to town just like I would any other day.
I'm getting on an airplane on Saturday.
Yeah.
And one of my biggest fears is like, okay, let's say I get it and then I do die from it. People are going to be like, it's going to make the news or something. They're like, you shouldn't have gone on a fucking airplane. Nobody's going to feel bad. Nobody's going to feel bad that I die because I brought this on myself. And that's fine. Let me say here officially, that's fine. Just don't make fun of me too hard if I die from it. Like, I'm okay with that.
I'm not going to make fun of you all. I'm going to be proud of you for saying, screw it, I'm going out there.
Yeah, there we go.
Give you a horse in Pendleton standing on both rear legs and said, died in battle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Was it like one leg up, it was died in training? Nowhere.
One leg up is injured in battle.
Yeah, 2 legs.
Up is died in battle.
I learned that in Brazil. Yeah.
I learned that in
Pendleton.
I learned that at Pioneer Park in Pendleton.
There you go. I had to go to another country to figure that out.
No, Roy Rayleigh Park, not Pioneer.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. But yeah, I'm all for people opening up. If you want your customers to come in, go ahead. I think if you want to open your store, open it. If you want to go shopping, like, how come I can go shopping at Walmart or Sam's or anywhere else, but I can't go to the local place? Like, what's up with that? That doesn't make any sense.
There was a huge article on that today. Oh no, it wasn't an article. It's a guy I follow that's a investor in oil and gas and a huge time statistician.
Mm-hmm.
The truth. He pegged the shale crisis like 18 months ago.
Oh wow!
Like predicted it down to. I got closer on the where the barrel would be on the date when it would. I'd pick mid-teens by April 15th, so I only missed it by 7 days. But this guy, his name's David Ramsey Wood, and he had a talk with the Wells Fargo, the acting head of economics for Wells Fargo. And this is what did happen is they shut down all the small businesses and allowed all the big businesses, the Amazon and the Home Depots and the Walmarts to stay open. And like the disparity, how do you say it? That was a critical, that's going to reap.
The disparity.
Yeah, huge repercussions for sure.
Huge. And then the other thing is, I think that we wouldn't be so on edge and anxious and like so overly, this thing in Frisco wouldn't have ignited so many people for these riots, but the media just keeps stoking this thing. It doesn't matter how little the data, as we get more tests and the numbers shrink, the media just keeps feeding this because it's not a media that is based on honesty and truth telling anymore. It's a media that needs to maintain a certain level of fear in order to drive revenue. And this is like jackpot payday for them. And
Oh, it's wet dream material, no doubt.
they're going to keep leaning into this thing until they have wrung every. I mean, how long did CNN cover that plane crash? 6 months, just so that they could have something. So
Yeah.
if you don't think they're going to milk every little bit of worth out of this, and I think that the normal average American is just done with it. And like they're anxious, they're done, and they're at a high level of fear, and like it's. I think the whole thing it's over now.
It should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't.
Right or wrong.
Right or wrong. Yeah.
It's fast.
It's about choice. And if I choose to go outside, that's fine. I think if you want to choose to work from home, so be it. But we're going to be going to work. We're going to be out and seeing people. Like a lot of places where food comes from, people are still doing the same damn thing they do every single day of the year. Only reason they know is because you see it on the news or prices might be the crapper. But other than that, life's normal, it's ridiculous. So yeah, I think it's been way overblown. I know there's nothing wrong with a little bit of precaution. You'd hate to feel bad. Like the initial numbers were like 2 to 3 million people could die. Like, well, who wants that to happen? But now as we look back, and now we're all stuck at our homes, we're not going out and seeing other people very much. Does the word herd immunity mean anything to anybody? Like our system works that way. Like we are always out and about. Have we ever done anything like this in our entire lives as a country? I don't think so. I mean, when you're little, you stay home when you're sick because you watch Price is Right and your mom makes you soup, but now it sucks, so it doesn't make any sense anymore. And we're not in the sterile, and we're home cleaning the crap out of our house all the time. So like there's no bugs around whatsoever. As soon as everybody goes back outside, you're going to tip over. I mean, come on. It just doesn't make any sense at all.
Let me tell you, we're having an enormous problem here with cockroaches. Cockroaches are disgusting. I don't even think we have them in Oregon. Never saw one until
I seen them in Texas. I think they're the third or fourth official state bird.
But they're living in our dishwasher. Like every time you open the dishwasher, they scatter. They're I don't know what's happening, but I've been on Reddit on the New York City Reddit thread, and other people are having this problem. I don't know if they're coming inside because there's no food on the sidewalks anymore. That's what the rats are dying out there because they don't have food for us anymore.
What about rat gangs?
The what?
Rat gangs? That was an article about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
They're cooperating with each other to scavenge.
Like velociraptors or something?
I don't know why though, but we have so many more cockroaches than we used to.
Wow. Yeah, because it was clean. I would never ever think you'd have cockroaches there.
Yes, it's cleaner than it's ever been. But
well, I mean, that's really odd. Yeah. So, well, we got a little derailed on our quote unquote intellectual moment of the week, but I think it was good conversation nonetheless. So intellectual, that's a matter of opinion.
I imagine you're gonna get some feedback.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. I'd be glad to discuss that with anybody. I mean,
there's a lot of unknowns, but I mean, they're talking about reopening things when there's still thousands of cases out there, and we saw.
But
2 months ago, we have one, and then we saw how that exploded. It's going to be a problem until they have a vaccine.
No, it's not. That doesn't make any damn sense at all. We don't have a vaccine for anything else like this, and yet we don't shut down. Like you can get a flu shot. That's not a vaccine at all.
It is.
No, it's
exactly what a flu shot is. It's a vaccine.
It's not. You still get the flu. If you get the flu shot, you still get the flu. Is it
what?
My ass. If you get a flu shot, you're going to get sick. Still, you can. There's no guarantee. Like, my ass.
Well, you can.
Yes.
It provides
it reduces your chances. I'll give you that. It might reduce your chances, but it's not like I'm never getting the flu now. No way in hell. There's no. That's so crazy to think like that we can't do anything until we get a vaccine.
Netflix Pandemic. It explains the flu. The very first episode. all about the flu.
I've not seen it, but I'll have to watch it. But yeah, there's no guarantee you're not going to get sick.
Yeah, no, they're not. But
They're 18 months.
Yeah, like that shit
at a
don't happen
macro
overnight.
level, if you can reduce your chances, everybody's chances by 50%, it's pretty good.
On some things that might be acceptable.
And it doesn't always work on the flu because
it doesn't.
They have to. There's multiple.
Because the flu is always
flu.
changing and evolving. Absolutely.
Yeah, so they
I've
have to
never had a flu
anticipate.
shot.
They have to anticipate what's circulating, right? And then they make the vaccine for that.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're wrong,
yeah,
then you're screwed. But
the whole wait
COVID,
for that doesn't make
coronavirus,
any damn sense whatsoever. That's
coronavirus
pie in the sky.
Coronavirus is changing, but it's not changing fundamentally.
No.
So currently,
I'm not
vaccine
against
would work.
them making a vaccine for it or a corona shot or whatever you want to call it, but no, waiting till that comes along. That's A, asinine. B, that's the most overzealous, fake. I don't know what's the word I'm looking for. False hope there ever would be. Oh, well, now I don't have to worry about it at all. Hundreds of thousands of people have been exposed to this already and didn't get sick. It happens every year. That's my point, is like, it doesn't matter. It's not the killer that everybody said it was. You don't burst into flames. You have like less than 1% death rate overall so far. I don't see the big thing.
Well, that's because we did take drastic measures and shut down, and we're all stuck in our house.
No, I think that's a bullshit reason too. I mean, that's the thing you can never prove wrong or right until everybody comes back outside. Or look at it this way too, though. The next time something like this comes along, do you think anybody's going to listen when they say we got to shut the world down and go back to your house? Hell no.
I'm actually reading a book right now called Against Empathy. And a lot of the tactics that were used is this tendency that we have developed in this country, especially in media and amongst our political leaders, to play on empathy. So they over magnify individual cases that really jerk at the tear strings, and they completely miss the statistical. Mm-hmm. So we are making entire policy decisions on empathy and not on, and I hate use words facts because I'm to the point of using facts anymore. But we're not basing our decisions on the numbers, and that's one of the reasons why we are everybody's really struggling with this, because this was one of the very first decisions made in the United States that was completely empathy based. I
agree. There was countries that did not shut down. Was it
Sweden? My new favorite place in South Dakota.
They're like, South Dakota didn't either. No, they're like, screw that. We're going about life. Guess what? They're fine. They're absolutely.
Well, it's funny how that changes every day. One day I'll read out Sweden did it right, and then next day it's like Trump today said Sweden's having a lot of trouble. Like every day.
That's the problem, was we don't have the hard data. I've seen that more, that they didn't have the hard shutdown than anybody else. And I completely agree. And so that's my point being, you can't really prove that the shutdown worked because you don't know what would happen if you didn't. You can't prove that because we didn't do it. You can speculate. I have zero faith in anybody's number estimates coming out of that rat's nest.
I mean, the Northeast is a pretty good sample of what can happen, right?
But my point being is that, like, the only reason we're knowing about it is because we're testing and freaking out about it. Like, how many years before does anybody go get tested for the regular flu? Ever? Does anybody, for the swine flu, for anything that's roared through this country in the past 20 years, did you ever run down and everybody had to get tested before we could do anything? No. Ever.
Well, I mean, you can just look at the data, like on an average day in New York. I don't know I forget the exact numbers, but on average day in New York, I think like 200 people die.
Okay, like we'll take that premise. Yeah.
During the last month, it's been like, I don't know, 1,000 people a day.
Mm-hmm. A, I mean, I don't know for sure, but B, there's more people dying. That's fine. I'm not saying it's not impacting people. I'm saying we're doing more harm by staying home and huddling in the corner And if you tell people that you're feeling like shit and this is the end, guess what? People are going to start feeling like shit because it's the end. Gee, Joel, don't you have a headache? And don't you get the sweats? And don't you feel kind of shitty? If I tell you that like every 15 minutes, within a couple days, guess what? You probably got a headache and the sweats and you feel shitty. That's our human mind. I'm not saying this is a mental deal. I'm just saying it's around everybody all the time. So you get any kind of sniffle, you're sick.
Yeah.
I mean,
you're sweating, you have a headache. Well, yeah, because it's 80 degrees outside. You have a fan running, and you have a hangover.
There you go. Some common sense breaking in, like the guy they showed walking around Walmart. It says, "Not the Rona, just hungover." Had this sign on the front of him. Completely agree. I'm not saying people haven't not died of this, and it's not bad. But I'm saying we way overreacted from what it really was, from all I can tell. And I think we did.
I think the rest of the country. The rest of the country overreacted. New York City did not overreact, I don't think. But
maybe with your population density.
Yeah.
Maybe
so. Because it does spread a little bit more rapidly, it would appear.
Subway is gross. Never getting on the subway again. Never. Unless I'm going to a Yankee game.
There was a lot of pre-existing condition there, I would say. I would be curious what the average immune system, is it stronger or weaker? I would hope it would be stronger living in that sort of pool.
Yeah, I imagine it's stronger. You're around people, plus people are here generally healthier than the rest of America.
And associative disorder exponentially grows with the larger the group of people.
Yes.
So.
And you pay the whole America. Yeah, I'm just saying, like, this has been an exercise in panic, I think. I really do. Maybe it didn't start out that way for sure, but they certainly aren't letting up. It's people are getting to that point where it's like it doesn't make any sense. It never did. And I know for a fact. So if we talk about Sweden and all that crap, South Dakota's right next door. I know people that live there. They didn't shut down. Yeah, they got fewer people, and there's some cases from the Smithfield plant, I think, because there's all those people in one spot. But even with that, they're just fine.
They just have bars and restaurants are still open. People are just going to them.
Yes. The governor said, "Fuck ye." That's FAHQ for those of you playing along at home. So, but I think it's going to be some lessons we're going to look back. Hopefully, we all learn some things from this.
Was right on his numbers, by the way. So.
Harumph. Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Fact check that.
Richard's on top of it. Yeah. So a 5-fold increase in death. Is it compared to last year or just from the year? Or do you know? I'd be curious. Heading into regular flu season versus this year.
No, they averaged it out over like the last 6 or 7 years or something. Since whenever like Obama and they had was it the swine flu? And they had that big bump. They incorporated that. They incorporated that year.
So population density is a factor. In New York, I didn't see that in LA to that extreme, especially I was really concerned.
Well, LA, they have the cars. It's a car culture.
No, but I was really concerned about the homeless culture that's more in the warm parts of the world, like LA. I was like, man, if that gets to that could be, when we first saw the numbers and how it spreads and how deadly, I was like, holy shiitake, talk about poor nutrition, reduced health thing, immunity down, not very much rest. And everybody's living close to each other a lot of times. I was like, that is a recipe for this to go guano. And I don't know I haven't seen anything about that.
Let me break out my cultural geography nerdiness. So there's a.
I'm going to listen, but I'm going to go make a drink, but I have my headphones in.
There's a way to judge. There's a way to classify towns, and one it's called site and situation. So if you take New York and you take LA, you have a good contrast. So LA would be a site city. That means it's been designed. New York is on a small island and it's a situation city. So just naturally by the design of the city, there's more people stacked on each other. LA is huge. It's probably 5 to 10 times the square mile of New York. So even though the population sizes are different, and same with Houston, And that's probably where you're going to see more cases in San Francisco because it's a situation city because it's below the bay. And it's not gridded out. So probably you'll never see anything like that in Houston or Salt Lake City or Chicago. Probably it would be higher. Anyways, site and situation. So that's probably one of the classifications. So.
Interesting. I'd not heard those terms before, or I don't recall if I had.
It's by the guy that did roadside, the same guy that did all the roadside geology books. He's the one that came up with
Oh, okay. Well, have we made jerky out of that yet? Perfect. I'm sure we'll be touching base as we continue to roll on, but certainly one of our more enjoyable and poignant discussions. With that, we'll move on to our next segment, which is one of my personal favorites, and that of the crowd too, but that is the Far Reaches Word of the Week. This week, our Word of the Week is brought to you by Brad Burr. Richard, take it away.
The word of the week is rosinjaw.
Rosinjaw. Is that
Can you spell that?
one word smashed together or two separate?
I have to look it back up on the text because I believe that there's many different ways to spell it. I believe the original word was one.
That's what I thought too. Yeah. Rosinjaw.
When I found it, it was separate, but it is not easy to find on the internet to see how it's correct.
I think it comes from one word originally, is my guess.
And I imagine it has Spanish.
That was my thought too. Yeah, much like Baquero.
Lead me to believe that it probably was originally one word.
So Rosin.
Rosingaw. J-A-W.
Yeah.
Rosinjaw. So
Rosinjaw. Yeah, like on your face, you know. Yeah.
And so now we have to figure out what this word means. Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, let's you kind of guesses. Yeah.
Huh. All right.
If you would listen to some of Richard and I's bantering at the beginning, it might give some subcontextual clues as to its origin.
Before we started filming, or
No, just a second ago when we were how to spell it. If it's one or two words, it might have been Spanish in nature. That's my guess. I think it came from a Spanish word, buckaroo came from vaquero.
Don't speak Spanish. So.
You really should branch out. Yeah.
So the root word is rosin.
Rosin.
So like a rosin, isn't a rosin something that's like left over?
That's a resin.
Yeah. Wow. You're good at your roots.
Apparently Mr. Joel's an educated man.
Yeah.
I had it wrong.
Now I really hate him.
You said it's Spanish, so maybe rosin is the masculine form of resin.
I wouldn't take it as a direct translation because like the word buckaroo comes from the word vaquero. So you see, like you can't take buck must mean nah. It's like it's been slanged, it's been cowboyed, it's been Americanized. Is my guess on rosinjaw.
It's definitely of Western origin. It was probably never made it much.
Great Basin for sure. Yeah.
So I'm gonna say rosinjaw is a cream or something that you put on horses so that they're on their jaws. So when you put the thing in their mouth, it doesn't rub and hurt them.
There you go.
That was a good guess.
Huh? I like it.
Is it right?
No. No. No, much like the word buckaroo, it relates to a person in a certain form.
Oh, yeah, that's a good thing. It would be the antithesis of cowboy.
Yeah. But not in a bad way, though, necessarily. No, rosinjaw.
Oh.
So like on a ranch, you'd have these different people called different things. And one of these people is called the rosinjaw.
Is that guy on foot or something?
What do you think?
Guy on foot. Yeah.
Very much so, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's the guy that probably opens and shuts gates.
You get in there.
Yeah. Closer.
Right. Puts out the salt licks.
Yep. You got it.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that does all the, builds the fences, does all the stuff while the guys are out cowboyed and dealing with the cows. He's the guy that keeps the infrastructure of the ranch.
The groundwork, so to speak. Yeah.
So in other words, it's your least favorite son.
No, actually,
No.
most Rosin Jaws spend their entire lives on the ranch. They'd probably get taken care of for years after, get to live in a house and get fed, and yeah.
Well, it's a bunkhouse, probably, right? I think maybe my grandfather was a rosin jaw.
You never know.
I'm not sure. I have to ask Big Daddy. Yeah, so it's not necessarily detrimental. It's just on the hierarchy. That's their job, so to speak. Is that, you know?
It's the last thing a cowboy wants to do.
Yeah, it sounds embarrassing.
Well, if you don't like cows or riding horses, I guess, but you're good at fixing fence and keeping stuff up, irrigating and all that good stuff, I guess, you know, that's it all has to happen. Somebody's got to do it, and just you know.
And very few rosin jaws have to be on the hay crew.
Ah, good point. Yeah. Yeah. So they're that intermediate, but yeah. Oh.
And you're damn sure going to be like the second to last guy fired.
Yes. Very not seasonal. You're one of the few full time for sure. Yeah. That's a good word, Richard. I was glad when you said that across. Yeah.
I almost went with Jigger Boss, but
I knew it. Yeah.
What's that word? We can have two.
Yeah, we could.
Jigger Boss.
They're close related.
Oh, Jigger is a Jigger Boss, the guy that's in charge of the rosin jaws.
Close.
Yeah, not quite directly related, but yeah.
He himself has a horse.
Isn't he like the second in charge under the head?
Yeah, there can be multiple. It's sort of like an army platoon. There can be multiple Jigger Bosses. They're sort of like the sergeant.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
They go out with the platoon, which would be the hands. And then usually there's one guy that goes out because the ranch manager usually doesn't go with all the to every time that there's cow work to be done. So he'll send a Jigger Boss. And if it's a big enough ranch, he'll be multiple crews and multiple Jigger Bosses.
One of my favorite terms. Yeah. It's pretty cool.
So never call a ranch manager a Jigger Boss. It just pisses them off.
Sounds like words first-hand experience, Richard.
What if you call him a Josin jaw?
Rosin?
Rosin jaw.
He'll probably explain to you he's not.
I'm assistant to the regional manager. Yeah, that's in future times they'll be called the Dwights of the ranch. Yes.
That's a good modern analogy.
Not assistant regional manager, assistant to the regional manager. Yes, thank you, Dwight. Oh my goodness.
I have a great ranch story. My grandfather on my dad's side managed big ranches all over the West, and he took over one in Paisley, Oregon, and got pissed at his cowboy crew and his hay crew and just fired them all. So he fired everybody that was in the cookhouse that day. But it was much easier to get a crew back then. He just had to drive to town and see who got fired.
He was laying around, yeah.
A couple of weeks ago. But anyways, the next day he walks into the bunkhouse. Of course, he didn't fire the cook, but to get breakfast, the rosin jaw's sitting there. And he goes, I thought I told – he didn't know hardly anybody there. He's the rosin jaw's there. He says, I thought I told you to get the hell out of here. I got thinking about it, and I didn't think you meant me. And he goes, what do you do? He goes, I'm the rosin jaw. He goes, yeah, you're fine.
Caught up in the chaos. I knew you really didn't mean me, you know, so I'm assistant to the regional manager. You can't get rid of me. Yeah. Yeah, you're fine. Stick around. Go find some more people.
What does a ranch pay like a hired hand like that, like a rosin jaw?
A hired hand?
They make it. Is the rosin jaw a hired hand?
Well, yeah, but when I say hired, usually when I think hired hand, I think of a cowboy, but not always.
Or if you're getting hired, are you getting like $20 an hour or something?
Probably 16. Let me do the math.
And a free place to stay?
Sometimes it depends on what you're doing. If you're day working, you just get paid by the day. And then sometimes if you got a house, you're going to get a little bit less probably, or, you know, you'll get.
Yeah, it's about $15.60.
Yeah.
But do you have to pay room and board, or is that free? It's free.
You can always tell when somebody that's never owned a ranch buys a ranch because they immediately move in and try and charge everybody that's on the ranch that's in a house rent.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Because the first thing they look at their books and they're like, how come none of these people are paying rent? And then one of their neighbors has to kindly explain to them that that's not how the West works.
Because you're paying him $1,500 a month. That's why. It is here all the time.
If you do start charging rent, it's a really good way to your entire crew.
Yes. It's one of those little factoids. Yeah.
So I mean, that's not bad money. If you're getting $16 an hour and room and board, it's a pretty good deal, right?
Pickup, and sometimes they throw in
Some food or like beef or
beef. So.
God damn.
And you outside, no health insurance though, unless you work for Simplot. So
there you go, Joel. You might find a new career not even realizing.
Well, yeah, if everything completely falls to shit, I can convince somebody to let me intern on the ranch.
Yeah, just tell next time you talk to Rawley, ask him if he needs a rosin job.
Yeah, or an intern, because those are free.
I'll be an intern. I need a horse, though. I'm not good at walking.
There you go.
Well, rosin jobs get to run equipment now.
Oh.
Yeah. Did you just turn your light on? Is that what that was? It was like really freaky.
Came in and waved at me to tell me she was going to bed, and then proceeded to turn all the lights off downstairs.
Yeah, you've been warned. Yeah, good luck getting downstairs. So, oh my goodness.
There was a lot of Ruski stuff going on in my house today. There was a standoff between Siberia and Moscow.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, everybody's very tired, and as Irishman, I just
wandered around. Yeah,
remain neutral. So let the Russians fight it out.
I'll just be stepping out here for a bit, and I'll be back in a while. Yeah.
Irishmen don't like to fight about the same thing Russians do.
That would be confusing, I think. Yeah.
We weren't fighting over water or whiskey, so.
Whiskey's for drinking and water's for fighting. Yeah.
Out of my experience level, so yes.
Well, let's shift to our best thing of the week. Joel, I want to know what your best thing of the week's been so far.
Well, I already blew the cover on it, but I wrote another song, so.
Oh, cool.
Got that submitted, so I got the actual talented people working on it now.
You just deliver it, and then they take over.
Yeah, I got good feedback. Paul gave me really good feedback. I think said it was really well developed lyrics. I think he was impressed. Maybe he's just being kind, but
yeah, better things to do than be kind, I guess. I don't know.
Right? Yeah, I don't think he would.
And be like, it's pretty rough. Maybe you want to flesh that out a bit more.
Maybe you should stick to compliance.
Yeah.
This isn't the right.
I know. Let's have a spelling contest. Yeah. So that's cool. I'm really proud. I can't wait to hear some of those. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Richard, what's your best thing?
Mine's gonna be weird, but
I'm prepared.
It was a good day. So I since I came back to the ranch, I invested most of the money into the cow stuff and different pastures and stuff for these. And so I have not been able to obtain a horse yet that I feel comfortable riding. So I either borrow horses or we just have day workers that come and do it. Mm-hmm. I feel like a bump on the log, and a lot of the guys never saw me cowboy much, so they're like, where is this guy from, and why?
Well, that's too funny.
Yeah. So my father-in-law brought up his horses, which are from Wyoming, and really nice horses, like the kind I rode when I was in Russia. So and I went out and sorted 40 head off of some of my cattle here in Lakeview, and just he and I didn't have I still got it. I can still do it. So
is that a good horse, huh?
All my hands that are wondering if I am worth anything, I'm still capable of getting on a horse, and did a little dog training on the way, and yeah, we got her done. So
outstanding.
Anyways, that was the best part of my week.
I love it.
Still sounds pretty fun.
I can still sort some cows.
Outstanding.
Do people ever do that on like 4-wheelers?
It's not very zen.
No. You can gather some for sure, but sorting's a little bit more compact. Yeah.
Would you learn to sort with Dick Bradbury? That is sacrilege.
The way of Mr. Bradbury. Yes.
Yeah. Which nobody understands to this day, but there is a way. It's just we don't know what it is.
Oh, damn, that hurt me. I didn't see that coming. I'll be honest with you, Richard. I did not see that coming. Yeah, that's
You ever want to I gave up speculating on it, but if you still want to have the conversation about what went through my father's mind, my sister Carta's still into it. So
Oh, okay. Yeah.
He'll still speculate, but I'm done.
There's just you can't plot any data. Yeah. Oh. Best thing this week for me, I had a really cool conversation with the CEO of a company called Earth Alive that's got some cool stuff going on. And we just had kind of almost like a kumbaya, like how do you see the future rolling out, and what do you think about kind of intro call that came from the wonderful world of LinkedIn. So that was awesome. I got some more things to think about, and I think we're going to talk again. But it was a really neat call, just to kind of be out of almost left field and have somebody picking your brain that is sort of in that level of where their thinking is. So that was really cool for me. So not to brag, but I had to a little bit. So, and then we'll wrap up with our favorite feature besides word of the week and best thing of the week. What we learned. So I'd kick it off, but I learned that I think I'm addicted to Zoom. That's what I learned, or FaceTime, or in the house, as Mr. Joel uses. I think I would almost rather house party. Thank you. I think I would rather video somebody than text. I think I don't like to call on the phone still, but I really do like to video, and I'll just randomly FaceTime somebody to see if they'll pick up or not. Yeah. Where I normally just text them. So it's weird. It's like one extreme to the other, but that's what I've learned this week. And for those of you who have done that, when you're doing things like Rawley's right now, Rawley's still pooping. I apologize, but hey, you answered, so it's up to you. So yeah. Mr. Joel, what did you learn this week? Or not even this week, but just what did you learn?
I need to come better prepared to these things to answer these questions.
Yeah, it's sort of like an off the cuff kind of thing. You learned that you need to come better prepared. I think we can go even with that. Yeah. You learned how to kill cockroaches, it sounds like.
Yeah, well, if you kill them, the interesting thing about it, if you kill them, if you smash one, you have to be really careful and diligent about cleaning them up properly. Because
does it attract other ones, or?
Yeah, it'll attract more into the place. So you got to really. Yeah, I don't know, nothing. I don't know. I mean, for it.
Yeah, we're not the Nobel Prize here, man. It's like, what have you learned? It could be today, it could be last week. You're putting too much pressure on yourself, man. You got to relax.
Yeah, I noticed. Well, so my brother Casey called me. He was at work, and I'm pretty good with Excel. Because I've been using it for a lot of years. And he called me up to ask, he's having a problem. He was entering in license plates numbers into cells, into a column. And if he didn't have the license plate, he was using a forward slash.
Mm-hmm.
And turns out, if you want to enter a forward slash by itself into a cell, what?
It's the phrase you just used. Turns out.
Yeah.
Great story behind that, by the way. So we're listening. Yes, if you use a forward slash instead of a null.
Well, yeah, it'll cause the hotkey options to pop up. And I didn't.
I have no idea.
I was like, well, that sounds weird. And I must have never in my life tried to just enter a forward slash into a.
It wouldn't be a placeholder I would pick. No.
So my first response was, why don't you just pick a different character to indicate you don't have the license plate? But he wanted to continue using forward slash. So I figured out how to turn off that feature.
The hotkeys.
Yeah, that's what I learned.
That's outstanding.
More
See?
Excel stuff.
You thought you had nothing, and you just blew my mind. Excel freaks across the world are now standing in their chairs applauding. And I think hotkeys sounds kind of dirty too, just so, so you can say you turn them off, or someday he's going to call you back so you can turn the hotkeys back on for some reason. That's my prediction. Yeah, so that's the day I want to know. So turns out, Richard.
Turns out we should have Ben on to talk about petroglyphs.
Turns out, yeah.
So do you know, turns out I work into everything that I get published.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah, everything I get published, I'll send it to the editor. They said, you really should take this out. I said, no.
No, that's the one phrase you cannot mess with.
I leave it in every one of my articles, and they're like, why? And they say,
I can't wait to watch for that now.
It's it's a joke. So anyways, but what did I learn? Where we going? I thought we were going with this episode. I lost it when he said turns out.
I know, totally derailed me. I'm almost crying laughing.
I learned something similar that Micah has. I don't mind subbing in the real life class, but I find it much more, I think you get more focus out of the kids in the online classes. And I prefer the online classes more, I think.
Interesting.
It might be because I have taken so many online degrees, but yeah, and
so much more time on online classroom, just much comfortable. So
it turns out I might take another 8 months and get a teaching certificate.
Outstanding. I'd love it. You and Joey can trade tips and tricks.
I don't think I wanted to be my full-time gig, but I do like going to school.
You can substitute teach without a degree?
Yes. There's such a shortage in teachers. I think last year they were 40,000 short nationwide.
Oh, wow.
Positions.
I should look into that. I'm bored and got time. Shaping and molding young, youthful minds. Oh.
We'll impart some knowledge onto the new generation.
Harumph.
Interesting thing to be in a long-term situation with a bunch of teachers and be from business. So I keep the guy that's the principal here, we were talking and he says, you're just good at this computer stuff. You go probably since you've been involved in it for so many years, like a lot of teachers are struggling with making the transition to online, but I'm creating everything from scratch. So I have an advantage there, but I was like telling them, we're having trouble getting a lot of kids and I think this is nationwide, to engage in online. And I said, basically just like sales, you have to make at least 6 to 7 contacts before you're going to get that kid to engage.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So anyways.
Yeah, I was in one of the first online classes between Eastern and Oregon State campus. And that was the thing, is we tended to sit, if you were the ones being filmed, you didn't say much. If you had to hold down the button and call in. Now when the class was filmed from our location and we were live, it was a much more interactive.
Waterlaw?
Pardon me?
Was it Waterlaw?
Yeah, Dr. Rowe. Yeah. Several of those classes. And so, they haven't really had to work on making us interact more, just to kind of get over that interrupting and being comfortable by pushing down the mic and speaking. And so I would be completely different in that class now, I think, than I was then, though. I would probably be my regular semi-shy self in person. So
I'm actually going to do this. I'm going to make this a focus of the last couple of weeks of school in both 9th grade and 7th, is how to have these conversations and do this kind of presentation.
I think that's important.
You have speeches, but then this is going to be a reality for that generation. So they need to start thinking about how they're going to present themselves and get comfortable doing so. So that's what I learned.
That's outstanding.
Give me something to grind on and think about. So it's been a challenge.
That's awesome. Well said. Wow, look at that. See, thought starting out didn't know crap. Turns out we all knew quite a bit, just didn't know it. I'm impressed. I'm duly impressed.
As Republicans, do you feel like it should just completely defund all education? I
What?
feel like it should be privately funded. If you want your kid to go to school, you should have to pay for it.
That's a whole completely pile of worms. But I wouldn't say I'm necessarily Republican. I'd say I'm more of a conservative. But if you want to go that route,
Isn't that it's the same thing?
oh, you commie stereotypes. Just like, well, obviously you're Republican, so you obviously think this. Yeah, like instantly, just the sweep of the hand. Yeah, that's what cracks me up.
I'm a libertarian. I just found out who our presidential candidate is today. So,
So is it?
Justin Amash.
I'll vote for Justin.
There we go. Every vote counts. Spend it wisely.
I adamantly told my parents I'd been listening to all the libertarian podcasts and it was no way that Justin Amash was going to run, and then he did today.
Oh, well.
I had to call him.
Extra salt, please. Yeah. So, education topic, we will definitely put that down on the list of things to chat about, Mr. Joel, because I think that's always one of the serious discussion that I don't think there's a super solid answer either way right now.
Down with the Department of Education.
Yeah. Sons of bitches. So,
yeah.
Well, I think on that super, super high note, I think we'll probably begin to wrap this one up for this time. Guys, I thank you so much for putting up with the video. I think it adds an extra layer of interaction and fun. We talked just over 2 hours this time with only 3 of us because Rawley had to poop. And so I think if we would have had all 4 of us, have gone even longer. I think we have better interaction back and forth maybe with the video.
Maybe Rawley makes us more efficient.
Maybe. It'd probably spur us along a bit more and say, shut it and keep going. But he's the one that's taking
German roots.
Poop, so what's that?
So those are his German roots.
Yes, very, very regimented, so to speak. Yeah. It reminds me of how we used to tease poor old swine flu, but I won't go into that right now. Yeah, but no, guys, thank you so much. Remember, folks at home, be sure to like and subscribe to the regular podcast on Spotify and Google and Apple iPod or Apple iPod. Apple Podcasts. And then more importantly, this will be on YouTube as well at Far Reaches Podcast. So give that a search, give it a like, give it a review. Make sure you subscribe and then hit that little bell in the corner. So it's all kind of hiding, but it's down in the right-hand corner. And when you click that, then whenever we put out one of these gems, you get a notification. So, but also if you're subscribed to the podcast, you should get a notification. So they're going to come out roughly the same time. But again, questions, comments, please send them all to Joel. I'll put his phone number up on the web so you can call him at any hour of the day. He's always up to answer phone calls.
I'll forward on the questions.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So turns out we're almost out of time. So we're going to get running. And thank you guys so much. Again, thanks for listening. And we will be back soon.